So my name is Princess Johnson. I'm the founder of Royal Expressions Contemporary Ballet, and I believe in inspiring people through dance. I am an advocate. I am a motivator. I am a empathizer, and I just want to see the arts in Greensboro um, just grow and thrive and just become a more equitable place and just see more artists of color and Black artists especially really start to rise to the top, not to take space, but to share space with what we already have in our great city. Growing up, I kind of grew up in a fairly artistic household. My dad was a pastor, and that means he put us to work at the church. And we all just kind of got into our lanes. I had a brother who played the drums, sister who sang, and another one that played the piano. And so I guess I just gravitated to dance, and we covered all the necessities, so to speak. And I just, when I was in high school is when I really got serious about dance. I had started choreographing when I was 8 and I did everything at the church, but I really only did like studio classes like sporadically. I think once when I was 5, I did a little short term and had a little recital, and then again when I was 8. And then other than that, it was all self-made, self-created, just a yearning to dance. When I hear music, I see movement. And I seriously believe like this must be what happens for everyone. But apparently there was a word for that called choreographer. So I learned what that was. So I feel like I was a choreographer before I was ever even a dancer. Um, and so when I got to high school, I joined a dance club called Dudley Modern Dance Company, and I did that freshman year all the way to senior year. I did the marching band, and I just love performing and being on stage. I remember the turning point for me to decide to literally do this professionally was my sister was in the Miss Dudley pageant for our high school. And I remember the career part and everybody walking up and saying what they want to do. And I was like, I wonder what I want to do. Like I had been thinking about being a teacher at one point or a lawyer, two opposite ends of the spectrum, but those were the two things that were really big in my mind. I had been taking business classes since I was in middle school. And I really love corporate law, torts, and learning about how the Constitution works and things like that, and just how businesses function and operate. And I also love teaching, but I also love dance. So to intersect all of those things that I had interest in, starting a dance studio seemed to make sense for me. When I graduated high school, I went to UNCG and I got my degree, and I was offered an internship through the North Carolina Arts Council. I got a fellowship to go work within the Cabarrus Arts Council, and that's what opened me up to the nonprofit arts world. And I was like, really? People just give you money for your art? Like, that's crazy. Didn't know that's what's happening out here. So I was like, tell me more. And so I learned so much in that internship. And while I was there, I met a representative for Richmond Ballet, and they were offering an internship to learn how to run a nonprofit dance company. So then I was able to streamline into how the nonprofit dance world works. And I worked for a $40 million ballet company, and I got to work right alongside the managing director and really get a full understanding of what it takes to run a nonprofit dance company. So I decided my dance company would be modeled a lot after Richmond Ballet, where we would have a performance company, a production company, the school, and then another thing that really stuck out to me was their outreach programs, because for me growing up, I didn't realize I was a product of outreach. I was an outreach kid. I attended free classes at City Arts and the YMCA and Dudley Modern Dance Company. That was an outreach program that my dance teacher was volunteering her time for to come to my high school and run a program with us for all those years. She was doing that out of the kindness of her heart because she loved dance and she wanted to do something for us. And I was just like, I definitely want to make sure that no matter what we do, that we always make dance accessible and affordable, because for me, I wouldn't have ever had this life if it weren't for outreach. And so that's where Royal Expressions Contemporary Ballet came in. And so I moved back to Greensboro, and for about a year, I worked for a dance studio, but then I started the company, and it's been 11 years since. Greensboro is home. I think for me, it was kind of it was a comfort level in starting a business in a city that you actually know people, especially when you're offering a service and you feel like you would have people who are like, oh yeah, Princess has danced her whole life, definitely sending my child there. Or I'm definitely buying a ticket because I've been watching her dance since she was 3. So it just was a comfort level for one thing. And there have been times when I was like ready to uproot and leave. But what has always kept me here is that this is my home. And most recently, my biggest concern is I've noticed that as a Black arts leader in Greensboro, I'm actually making a lot of progress that hasn't been made by many Black arts companies in our city. And so I'm backtracking and trying to find out like what happened to the leading Black arts groups of our city. Why aren't we more elevated? Why aren't we more successful? Why aren't we thriving like our white counterparts? And so for me, it's become a much bigger thing and less about just my dreams, but the dreams of my ancestors and the dreams of the people, the other Black artists in our city, and just really being a voice and a leader and taking advantage of the fact that we created a name for ourselves and that people recognize us, and just trying to use that to facilitate change in the arts culture here in Greensboro. So starting out, Alma Waddell, she was my dance teacher, and everybody always has like these incredible people in mind when they think about influencers, but she just had a love for dance. And her and her mom had a dance studio. It's called Salima Dance Company. And she just really, that desire and passion and love for dance just transferred over to me. And I just felt like I was kind of carrying a torch for them because they struggled a lot having a Black-owned dance studio in Greensboro. They served a lot of underprivileged kids. They operated out of a church, and it served a great purpose, but it never got to grow into what their vision was. And so when I started the studio, she's like one of the first people I reached out to because, and I just always give her credit for anything I do, because even though she's always like, I don't know why you do that. I'm like, because you were amazing to me and I will never forget. Like, I know for a fact if I wouldn't have been in that group, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, period. Because when it was time to graduate, I told her, I'm like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep dancing and I want to learn more. And she couldn't teach me everything I know, like vocabulary, and just because they were Black, and learning dance from Black people meant sometimes you weren't getting all of the aesthetics or things that come from white culture. But the thing is, again, because white culture is so prevalent in our society, you have to be able to code switch not just in conversation, but also in how you deliver products and presentations. And so even dance is included in that. So people, that people want to see technique. They want to see, well-trained dancers. And so I wanted to continue to learn more. So that's why I ended up going to UNCG. But now in retrospect, it's funny, I've been following Camille Brown, and she was the same as me. She went to Winston-Salem School of the Arts. She wanted to learn technique and technicality, but if you look at what she does now, she's pretty much just like kind of thrown all of that away and re-envisioned dance for her Black body and freed herself from the ways of what makes dance technical. And she's created her own technicality from that. And I just admire her for that, because it's something that has never been done. A lot of times Black dance professionals measure their success based off of how much ballet they know, how much jazz they know, which, by the way, is actually rooted in Black culture anyway. But we didn't even know that at a point. This education is just now, not just now, but it wasn't always a thing. And so it's interesting, and I love watching her, and it's actually had to make me question myself as a Black dance leader who loves ballet. And it's like, it really challenges me to really think about how I teach my students, how I say things to them. I used to say things in a way that was like pushing them to be more concerned with getting everything right and fitting into white culture than just letting them explore dance within the confines of where they are. Right now, the school is the only thing that's functioning, ongoing. So we're working with the kids, and we decided, since theaters are probably still a no-go, instead of doing our Christmas production at a theater, we're going to be translating it into a film. And so we're making a film with a bunch of kids. This is going to be really fun. So we're working on that. And then I was hoping and praying. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, oh, this is great artistic, like planning, like something big's going to come. And nothing big came like all them months. And I was like, well, dang, I thought I was at least get like a good show idea or something. And we did do a few like videos called Conquering COVID-19. We did a series of videos with the company dancers, and that was fun. But then, I mean, literally, I was about to like walk out the door, and I had sent my friend a message. I guess this was all I had to do, because I kept trying to get something to come out of his head, and I was like, nothing interesting is popping up. But I sent him a message. I was like, we need a ballet for Black people, not a ballet turned into Black, but like it came purely from, not like the Black Nutcracker or Creole Giselle. Like, we got plenty of that. I was like, no, I just want a pure, fresh Black ballet. And he was like, that would be so amazing. And then I was like, but I have no idea what it'll be about. I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you. And then like a couple of weeks later, it came to me. And so I'm not going to tell you what it's about yet, but just know it's going to be good. And it's adventurous. It's very much about Blackness. And I think it's going to be, I think it will change how people see ballet in the Black community, because I think a lot of times when people connect with, Black people connect with ballet, you like have like Dance Theater of Harlem, but they're still doing Cinderella, Swan Lake, Giselle. And honestly, I love ballet. I love taking the class, but I don't always enjoy watching the shows. I cannot have an emotional connection to it. I just have a technical connection. And a lot of times I'm watching it because I understand the movements and I don't understand the story and I can't relate to the story. Um, and so a lot of Black people, you know, they get in line around the Met to go see Misty, and they really just want to see Misty. They don't really care about the actual show itself. They're just like, I got tickets to a show with Misty. I don't know what we're seeing. And so I want them to like be excited about ballet. And the ballet will incorporate other things because we are contemporary ballet here. So we don't just focus on ballet and we don't have this hierarchy of ballet is the best, everything else is below. Um, it does take up a lot of our time and energy to teach ballet. But we are welcoming to jazz, hip hop, tap, all of those things. Contemporary have been in our professional shows. So when you come to see one of our ballets, you have no idea like what we're going to put on stage. Like it's not just going to be tutus and tights and point shoes, because really a ballet is not a dance style. It's a story told through dance. That's all it is. And it doesn't have to be ballet. So it's been hills and valleys. Like I would have like a week of going hard and strong, wake up, get my smoothie, get my workout in. I would roll up my little carpet and have my dance area. My bookcase was my bar, take a class and, you know, get my work done, have a nice, good week of that. And then the next week, sleep in, don't want to do anything. I'm just gonna relax today. And the next thing you know, it's like 3 days later, and it's like, what day is it? And so at the beginning, it was like that. And then in May, I started coming back to the office. Actually, no, I had planned to start coming back to the office after Memorial Day, but of course, that's when it was like you had Ahmaud Arbery shot down. Then you heard about Breonna Taylor, and then George Floyd, and then so it took me a whole nother 2 weeks before I could amp back up and get started back at the studio. Once I started coming back into the office, I was able to get more of a routine, start thinking about the kids, getting them back into the space and figure out what's going to be safe for the children. You know, touch bases with the company. We had finished our COVID-19 projects from home because all of it was recorded from like outdoor spaces or inside of our homes. And just check in with them and figure out what our next steps are. So by about August, we reopened the studio and couldn't reopen because they extended the orders. So now we're dancing outside and on Zoom. And yeah, so just we did an outreach program online, which was really fun and cool with one of our partners. And so just trying to reimagine what outreach programming is like. I have no complaints about this pandemic. It's been a mental and emotional adjustment for sure. But I think because we've had so much support from the families we serve, from the funders, people have continued to give donations. We did a Juneteenth project. I was just trying to raise a measly $600 and we raised like over 3,000. And I was like, we hit the goal, guys. And they just kept giving like here. So I was like, okay, fine. We'll give those out in scholarships. So now we're able to turn around and help out the families that helped us out. And like, hey guys, if you got a financial strain, but because of this virus, let us know. We got some extra money and we want to help you with your tuition. So we have a nice little ecosystem happening. And I guess my biggest concern is theaters, getting back into theaters and performing, and what does performing look like now? The video projects are fun, but I miss the theater. Sorely miss the theater. There is nothing like that space. The last show on record for our professional company was a show called Misconception. And it was, I had a creator's block. I was unknowingly depressed because, as you can see, I'm a very happy-go-lucky going person. So I didn't even know I was depressed. I had severe anxiety issues. I did know about that, but I didn't know it was called anxiety. I just said sometimes a monster comes out and I get hangry. And a lot of it was rooted in some things that I was dealing with in my personal life, and I made my personal life public because I couldn't get past this place. And I felt like it was impacting my business and my life and everywhere. And so I had even been planning a different show, but this other idea kept coming back into my head, like, you need to tell your story. So the name of the show is Misconception. Is about our fertility journey, me and my husband. And I was wanting to just get it out, like, because I wasn't talking about it with anyone. He wasn't talking with it. We weren't even talking to each other about it. We had been trying to conceive for 5 years at that time when I released the show. And it was just, we didn't know why we weren't getting pregnant, and we were just stuck. And so it just felt like our whole lives were stuck. On top of that, my husband was epileptic for 3 years. Well, he's still considered epileptic, but he was having episodes, repeated ones, multiple times in a year. And so then that was stressful. So long story short, I produced a show. It's called Misconception, and it told my story and 2 other couples' stories about fertility. And so we had one story that included adoption, another one that included successful pregnancy after several miscarriages, and then ours, which was just open-ended. We never had a happy ending. It was just up in the air. And the whole purpose of it was to help people understand that there are some things that people say that are very insensitive to couples, and they're unaware that couples are dealing with fertility. 1 in 8 couples deal with fertility. It was a lot of shame and stigma around it. And we had a panel of like professionals that talked about different things. So after Misconception, I thought it would help me to express myself, and it did, but it also left me very exposed to the world. And I just felt even a higher heightened anxiety. And I was like, well, that sucks. So I finally went to see a therapist to kind of work through some issues, and I did that for a year. And while I was after the show, one of the women that came there, she went to college with me, and so she had contacted me a few months after the show and was like, that show changed my life. Me and my husband were where y'all were. We just didn't want to do anything else. We didn't know what else to do. We were tired and just stuck. And she's like, that motivated me and got me excited again. And I was ready to take a step. And I was like, that's awesome. Too bad I'm still stuck, but great for you. And so she told me that she started working at Starbucks because they offered IVF coverage. And I was like, what? What? And I was like, tell me more. And she's like, you work 20 hours a week for 3 months, you get approved, and she said she's gonna do it. I was like, you go do that. I need to get my mind right before I do anything else. So she did it, and she was pregnant within a year. And I was like, that is amazing. I'm about to go apply. So I applied after she had her son. I applied and I got the job. And so I've been working there for about a year. And so right before the pandemic, I set an appointment with the fertility doc clinic, and then the pandemic started. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if we should do this, Shay. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, babies were still being born during the Spanish flu. Whatever. So we went forward and went on to the clinic and passed all of these things. And we did one IVF cycle and it failed. And then we did another one and we are pregnant. Yeah, because it airs later. So I can mental health matters. And I think art is so deeply connected to mental health. People are so quick to dismiss the arts and its value. And if you look at when the pandemic hit, artists were at the forefront. They started offering free programming and access, and people were eating it up, even when it wasn't free. And they were paying for that Trolls Worldwide. And I mean, even if it's horrible art, like Tiger King, I mean, so art either is like, you know, feeding your soul and helping you deal with something, or it can be a distraction, which both are necessary. I needed Tiger King. I watched all of it. All of it. But it did, I think everybody was like, I mean, I probably wouldn't have watched it if I wasn't stuck at home in the middle of a pandemic, but it was just like, so I just think it's just so necessary for survival. And it's so easy to not understand that or see that and to take it for granted the same way you could like a higher being or your spouse. Like it's just so easy to take those things for granted because it's just around you every day and you don't realize how valuable it is. So that's why I love being in this field and I love being a part of it. And I will always be a voice to remind people of how important the arts is and bring that perspective to them. So with me focusing in on my mental health, it helps me with helping other people and being more empathetic to them and helping understanding that everything someone says or what you see, behaviors that you see from people is sometimes rooted in something probably a lot deeper than you can see. So it's helped me become a better leader. So I continue. My therapist was ready to let me go. And she's like, you're great. You're golden now. And I'm like, no, I need preventative measures because Princess will get back in a bad habit real quick.